Antespam provides Randolph School with spam filtering services. All email passes through Antespam servers prior to being delivered to our email server, and if that email meets the criteria associated with spam, it will be sidelined by Antespam. Sidelined mail can be released and passed into our inboxes. There are two ways that we can go about this. The first and the default type of account that's created within Antespam is a centrally managed accounts. Those accounts are going to be managed by the tech department. Any suspected spam will be caught and then potentially released by our department. If you suspect that you have a valid email that's been identified as spam and sidelined, you can contact the tech department in order to forward that email to you. The second type of account is a self-managed account. Self-managed accounts will be given passwords once the account is created. That's going to be in the form of an email from Antespam. Once you have that password, you'll be able to log into Antespam's website and not only release sidelined email, but also manage changes to your account, things like pass list items and blocked items and so on. This video is going to give you some information about how to access both your sidelined mail and your account settings. The first step is going to be able to log into the server. You're going to connect in any browser to www.antespam.com. From here, your username is going to be your Randolph School email address. If you've forgotten your password, you can go ahead and click that Forgot Password link, and it will email you a new reset password. We cannot manage passwords in the technology department, and so you'll have to go through this method in order to get a new password. Once you log in, you're going to see a couple of different tabs. You won't see this setting. I have a couple of different email accounts associated with this particular email, so you'll just go straight to this first view. This is your sidelined email, and what you can do from here is count, and it'll tell you how many emails total have been sidelined. But more importantly, you can click View. When you click View, you'll see any email that's been sidelined here. You'll see when it was received, who the sender was, and then the subject line. Another thing that's important to realize is this score. What Antespam does is, through a series of algorithms, scores how likely it is that a particular email is spam. The higher the score, the more confident they are that it's spam. Right now, we have the entire domain set so that if a score is higher than 2, it's automatically sidelined. There are a couple of things that you can do with any individual email or with groups of emails. First off, notice that you have this gray bar up at the top. Any action performed here will be performed in bulk. So I can select all of my email by clicking this top checkbox. I can also forward all selected email using this little arrow, or I can delete all selected email. I only have one email, but I can also click the individual checkboxes to perform actions on multiple email at the same time. The same tools, the forward and the trash can tool, exist on individual emails, so you can forward them one at a time or delete them one at a time. If you're not certain what an email is talking about, you can click this little magnifying glass, and it's going to expand the email and give you kind of the basics. It'll show you the header information, when it was received. It'll also, if you scroll down, you can see that here's the actual content of my email. Now, some emails will be HTML content, so you won't really be able to interpret it, but you can at least get a general idea of what it contains. If you find after this examination that it is a valid email, again, you can click this little forward button to send it to your inbox. If you find that a valid email is getting caught often, you can add it to what's called your pass list. Now when you're adding it from here, it's only going to be associated with the pass list for your account. If you know of a valid email that's might be related to multiple people, you can contact the tech department and we can add it into the pass list for the entire domain. Anything that's listed in the pass list is not going to be examined at all for spam properties, so you want to be very careful when making additions to the pass list that you don't add something in that might cause problems. So what I would do if I know this is a valid option, I would click this plus sign and it pops up here. Now right now this has a very specific email address in it, but if you're getting something like let's say in a newsletter or something, quite often this first part will change each time you get the email. And so what I can do is, instead of passing a specific email to that list, I can delete that left hand side, that unique identifier, and just add this right hand side. That's the domain name. That means that any email, regardless of the individual, but any email coming from this domain will be added into your pass list. So it kind of opens it up a little bit more. I would suggest that you not add email addresses from Yahoo or Gmail to your pass list. This is because many of the free services are abused by spammers, and so if you were to add @gmail.com, all email from Gmail would be sent to you, whether it was valid or not, and you're going to get a lot of potentially invalid email coming from those free domains. If you have any questions about that, or you're not certain whether or not you should add somebody to your pass list, just let the tech department know. This second tab is the pass list tab. This is going to allow me to manually make entries. Not only can I make entries based on email addresses, but I can also include subjects if I know that particular subjects should be added into my pass list. I don't have any entries in my individual pass list, but underneath this, you can see this is where this domain managed pass list is located. And so there are very many of them listed here. As we get requests for individual parents or salespeople associated with businesses or what have you, we add them in here. So again, all of these accounts are not going to be checked at all for spam properties. They'll always be forwarded directly to the inboxes. You also have the opposite, which is the block list. Again, be very, very careful here, but if you're getting email from somebody who's annoying you continuously, or from a domain continuously, you can come in here and add that information. Again, be very careful. If you add in @gmail.com, that will block. It will not receive any email from the Gmail domain. So be very, very careful when you're utilizing this. But you can again see I don't have anybody blocked, but these are some of the options that we've blocked for various reasons throughout the years. Another tab that you might be interested in is this settings tab. As I mentioned before, the algorithms score individual emails based on how likely they are to be spam. Our default is to take anything with a score higher than 2 and sideline it. And that's the case for the entire domain. However, using this option, you can change your individual setting. Be very careful when you do this. If you change this number and make it too low, you're going to get a lot of false positives. You're going to get a lot of good emails that are sidelined. If you make it too high, you're going to be getting a whole lot of probably spam. I would say leave it at 2, but if you're frustrated with having to check anti-spam on a regular basis, you can loosen it up. I wouldn't go any higher than 5. You also have, don't ever turn these options off. Don't turn your spam filter off. Don't turn your virus filter off if you have this enabled. But what you can do is down here at the bottom, you can ask Anti-Spam to email you with a list of your sidelined emails. I don't have it doing this because I actually just go in and check every week. I actually go in twice a week and check to see if I have any false positives and then forward them. But if you don't want to have to do that, you can have Antespam email you a list, and that way you can just log in when you know that there's a problem. Anytime you make any changes to these settings, you'll need to click OK, or it will undo those changes. Again, if you do decide to manage your own, be very careful. If you have any questions, please let us know about them. We can work with you to deal with those issues. Again, contact the tech department with any questions or any problems. We're happy to help anytime.